Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, and welcome back to the Movieverse podcast show. My name is the Habitual Pixel. It's my co-host, Big Nasty Productions. And even though we usually do movie reviews on this show, we're switching it up and doing TV. We're going to talk about the latest season of The Walking Dead on AMC. That is season 5, I think. Yes, season 5. Yes. Yep. And it just wrapped up a couple weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, I think, and we're going to discuss it, what we thought of it, probably unfairly compare it to the comic books and such, and it's going to be a good time. So, a lot of people are saying that this latest season of The Walking Dead pretty much changed everything that people didn't like about the previous seasons, of how slow and disorganized they were. Do you find that to be true?
Not really. I mean, I don't understand. Do you mean that they're saying that this season was a lot faster paced and more organized?
Yes.
I don't know if I'd necessarily say that's true. I mean, I thought it was probably about the same as the Terminus storyline in that regard, but or in regards to that, I mean. But I don't know. I think in terms of seasons, anyways, I wouldn't really say that it was anything more than just a little bit more violent, I guess, and a little more stressed. Like, I guess that's maybe what people are waiting for. Is it seems like there's a lot more tension in this season than previous seasons. Maybe that's what people were looking for. I don't know. I personally, as you know, as we've discussed before, I prefer the books myself. But
yes, we're both fans of the comic book. I started reading it a long time ago before the show was, and Big Nasty here has recently fallen in love with it and destroyed the entire series. So we're both, pretty much up to date on all things the comic, and we fall somewhere in the middle when it comes to the show. I think it's definitely more good than bad, but it has weaker moments. And overall, I think this season is one of their better seasons yet, I think.
I'll give them that this is actually, to me, one of the better seasons for relating back to the book as well. In certain points, obviously, if you look at the part with the hunters, they still had where someone got eaten and it was the leg, but it wasn't Dale. Instead, it was Bob instead of Dale.
Yeah.
But
they continued taking and altering things from the comic book the way they've kind of been doing, but they do a lot more of it this season, I thought.
We'll see, and like we were talking about earlier, when you're saying, some people were kind of looking for things to be more organized and kind of faster paced. Terminus brought a lot more, as we discussed earlier. Terminus brought a lot more of a strategic storyline, a better little arc where it's actually kind of made sense of where they went from it, as opposed to the hunters in the books, who basically just kind of show up out of nowhere when after they run into Gabriel.
Yeah, well, the whole later half of season 4, I guess, was spent trying to get to Terminus pretty much, and it was just they spent one episode there, or a half an episode there.
That's true. Yeah.
And I liked that, to be honest, because as cool as Terminus was, and I think it's a decent reimagining of the hunters, I didn't want it to be dwelled on.
He was wearing a similar jacket, I'll give him that.
He was. They did it was similar, but not, obviously the hunters in the comic, obviously I should say before the spoilers to everything, comic and show related, so if you're not up to date, be forewarned. Where's my thought going? Terminus was, a compound that had way more people, but the hunters in the book were just, I think 4 or 5 of them maybe, and it was handled different, but I didn't mind. I guess I should recap this season a little bit. First half was Terminus and the aftermath of that, finding out that Washington was a lie. They run into, what's his name? Father Pussy. Gabriel, yes.
And Gabriel Stokes.
Yes, and they kind of wrapped up that arc, teasing the latter half, which would be New Alexandria and getting there, being on the road. And
it's just Alexandria.
Yes, they dropped the new in the show, I guess.
No, even in the books, it's just Alexandria.
I thought it was New Alexandria. I don't know.
No.
Okay. Excuse my ignorance.
It's okay. I'm just saying.
I've literally called it New Alexandria forever.
Really?
Yes, I don't know why I thought there was a new there, because I guess the old.
Well, because Alexandria does fall like when the zombies collapse the wall and break it and get in. So I mean, I can see how you would think that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, as far as my understanding, yeah, even when Rick talks about it now, when the world's basically not zombieless, it's like they kind of just figure out, they already, now it's at the point where they know how to deal with the dead. And they actually know how to deal with the living as well. They've got like a big barter system or trade system, where they trade different goods among the communities that they have. The communities are the Kingdom, the Hilltop, and Alexandria, and I believe Dwight still actually runs the Saviors.
Savior's old compound, the Gates of Hell.
Sanctuary, I think it's called.
Sanctuary. And we're referring to the comics, of course, but that's what I mean, that Alexandria in the show, in the comic, is like the tip of the iceberg. There's, all these different communities, and there's an interesting, obviously it leads to a war, of course, but there's interesting conflict there. And there's
an all-out war.
An all-out war, if you will. Expect an upcoming episode to be named that. Guaranteed.
Has to be.
But yeah, it's in the show, it's just Alexandria, as far as we can tell, and this new introduction of the wolves, which seem to be like a mix between the Marauders and possibly the Whisperers from the, later 100s from the comics.
Yeah.
It's they're setting up something that's probably going to be pretty cool, but I expected them to set up all-out war, or at least start, lay the breadcrumbs for it, kind of thing.
The problem is I don't really think they can, as far as how crucial Dwight is in the books, just because Daryl seems to be based entirely off of Dwight, except for the burnt face.
And his allegiance, obviously.
Well, that too, yes.
Yes, I agree, but they could have another badass character. But...
with a crossbow? And a leather vest?
Yeah, you're right. They wouldn't be allowed.
Just saying.
Or Daryl would just kill him with it. This town ain't big enough for 2 crossbows. I don't think so.
Mind you, I would like to see that, because they do have it set up perfectly where they can do it, and then they kill Abraham, and they kill Glenn. Spoiler alert. Lucille bashes his fucking skull in.
I said spoiler alert. You've been warned. Yeah, there's a lot of really...
Just so you know. For anybody who doesn't know who Lucille is, by the way, if you just watch the show and don't read the books at all, Lucille is a barbed wire baseball bat owned by the maniacal Negan, and he uses it to bash in Glenn's skull, like, brutally, right in front of Rick and
many
Maggie
people. And Maggie, yes. Yeah.
A couple others, too. I don't remember who else was there.
A lot of readers of the comic, us included, I think, are all just... when is Negan going to show up? Are they going to do him right? Because as cool as the governor is, and as cool as the hunters, and they were handled okay in the show, Negan's the most badass. Most badass bad guy in this apocalypse. He's the only one that can rival Rick when it comes to badassness, I suppose.
Yeah, it requires all of the communities together to even try and fight him in the first place. Hence why it's called all-out war.
Yeah, and he's not as stupid as the governor was.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's crazy. Don't get me wrong, for sure crazy, but he's also very capable, and that's going to lead... there's no way they're not going to do Negan, but it's a question of how long do we have to wait for him to show up.
Well, that's the difference. Negan's more like a homicidal sociopath, where the governor was just pretty much a psychopath, keeping his zombie daughter alive in his apartment and stuff like that.
And he was just very good at faking it for a little bit. He reminded me of a cult leader, like the Jonestown leader or something.
Yeah. I think the prison season is probably the farthest away from the books, realistically, of any of the ones that they've done as far as characters that are from the books, you know what I mean? Because the prison, none of it really was from the books at all.
Not really. They did the 2 governor attacks.
They did the Laurie dying, but they didn't have the baby die, obviously. Little Judy isn't dead.
Didn't have the balls for that, did you, AMC? I didn't think so.
They didn't have Tyrese there and cut off his head.
Yeah, the prison arc, which was, I guess, season... They
didn't have all the stuff with
3 and 4, 3 and part of 4. Yeah, they did so much stuff different. It was still fine. I thought the show was acceptable, but that's
So I
what
didn't
is
like it so much.
season 2 and, parts of season 3 when they got to the
Yeah.
prison were arguably the slowest and dullest of the entire show so far. But
But I mean, to be realistic, in the books,
yeah,
there's a lot of time where they're just out camping in the outside world. They say they spend 14 months when they get to Alexandria.
hmm
They've been out 14 months, so I don't, and that's, who knows if they even know how long they've actually been out there.
yeah. Eventually they lose track of time, but they were on the road for a long time, and they, I guess that's what the latter half of this season was before they got to Alexandria was supposed to be, like the, how Michonne says, or I think it's Michonne anyways, you can be out here too long. Like, there is a point of time surviving out here that you just will destroy your sanity.
Right, because when Michonne's first out there by herself, at least in the book, I don't really remember if she does it in the show, but she always talks to herself because she's talking to her dead boyfriend. I don't know if she does that in the show at all, but
She mentions the phone with a conversation with Rick, just like similar to the one in the comic.
yeah, but in
And
the
they
comic, Rick carries the phone around, and it's like
Yeah, it's weirder.
way it's after. It's when they're on the road with Abraham and shit too.
The only
He even has it at the house in Alexandria.
he brings it with him because he's fucking insane.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, Rick's a lot more stable, questionably stabler these days in the show than what he goes through in the comic, because he goes off the deep end.
I also don't understand why they didn't have the governor cut off his hand. Like I find the book is actually like far more strongly written. It seems.
Yeah, for the most part, I would agree.
The books, I should say, the comic books.
Yeah, I mean, Kirkman knows how to write decent dialogue and human relation and really pull the most out of that.
138 issues.
And no sign of stopping.
Well, and there is a weird point in where All Out War at the end of it,
Where
he ends up slitting Megan Stern, and kind of just jumps a good distance into the future, it seems.
Yeah, it jumps like 2 years, I think they say, after everything's settled and all the communities are rebuilt. They're
basically reestablishing civilization, or at least that's what they're attempting to do. And then the Whispers kind of show up, who are these group where they wear the skin of zombies to live with zombies.
Yeah, to blend in. It's like the...
they say that they protect them, and they protect the zombies, and the zombies protect them. That's what Lydia says.
It's like when they cover themselves with guts to get by zombies, it's just like an extreme version of that, except for they just stay with the zombies.
And I just don't understand a lot of the changes with stuff. Like I said, like Beth was never a character in the book. Herschel's kids that are, alive after the farm in the book. Like I think Lacey dies at the farm. I don't remember the other brother's name.
Most of them die at the farm.
Yeah, but then he has Maggie with him, the twins, Billy. The twins are the little girls. I don't remember what their names are.
Me neither.
But the little girls get decapitated in the prison barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just so much more sadistic and like just crazy the way they do it with the inmates, because it's the guy that they ask the inmates what they did when they get in the prison, and the one inmate says he's like, oh, it was tax fraud, but it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, and he turns out he's
a psychopath.
Yeah, he's a pedophile murderer.
Well, I don't know. He tries to cut because he's the one that cuts up Andrea too. I don't know if he's a pedophile. I think he just likes cutting people's heads off.
Yeah, Andrea tries to cut him a break, and he just fucking betrays her instantly. And there's a lot of stuff in the prison that I loved in the comic book, and it's the first few arcs at Herschel's farm and blah blah blah. They're good, but it's when it gets to the prison in the comic that you're just like, damn, this is another level of zombie fiction. And the show kind of shies away from that at times. I mean, it's okay with the zombie gore and stuff, but it doesn't have the balls to, like I said, or like we were talking about, decapitate infants and have their heads reanimate in front of it just, there's some really dark, twisted shit in the comic that hasn't yet come to light on the show.
Not to mention in the book, Carol ends up in the prison banging Herschel's kid Billy and then going and killing herself by hugging a fucking zombie.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why Carol's still alive. I do like her character in the show. I think it's a good character, but I just don't
agree.
understand why they would have her be Carol. You're already introducing characters that don't even exist in the Walking Dead world. Why not just bring in a random new character? Have Carol be who Carol was. It makes more sense. That's what I mean. The Walking Dead books, comic book series, just seems to make more sense.
It does, and it seems like it's less of a stretch when it comes to a lot of things. Even though there is crazy shit like a guy who owns a tiger and fucking people
Ezekiel's the man.
and people that wear zombie skin.
Well, actually, Jesus is the man, but still.
There's some crazy shit that goes down. But I don't know, the TV show just I don't think anyone's more different than Carol, to be honest. Carol is not only dead, but clearly deranged.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as characters being different, I'd say Herschel was definitely quite different.
He was
Quite different than he is in the book. Dale was definitely way different than he is in the book. They didn't have a lot of the other guys that are first in the group, so it's hard to say with that. But
the TV show's made a lot of liberal changes, and a lot of them I don't like. And Dale specifically pissed me the fuck off because he was such a good actor, and he died for no good reason. At the end of a season, no big deal was made about it. He must have got fired from the job or something. They wrote him out real quick. But
you're just gonna get eaten by a bunch of zombies because you're staring at a cow like a retard.
Yeah, fuck you, Dale. He's way cooler in the comics. But they haven't done any changes that have made me lose faith in the show, which is good, because I was even before it debuted, I was iffy if they were gonna mess around with my favorite zombie fiction ever, and they have, but it's still passable, I think.
Well, I wish I read the books before, just because I would have known a little bit more. But that's the thing. Like the first episode, I remember the first episode was awesome. Yeah, and then when I read the books, I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious! It's exactly the same, pretty much."
So perfect. Pretty much, it's exactly the same. Except for the maybe the intro where he blasts that little girl. But
blast the little girl.
The very first shot where Rick's walking around a bunch of cars and little girl zombie, and he has to shoot her.
I thought the very first shot was him in the hospital.
Maybe it's I think it's the one
or is it when he comes back and shoots the girl that was on the bicycle?
No, it's before that. I'm pretty sure it was the first little teaser before the intro started,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember.
And it was like the first shot of the show was, at least they're not shying away from showing children zombies, because I hate games and movies.
There's quite a few of them in the books.
Yeah, there is quite a few, and I hate zombie movies, whatever, that shy away from how awful that would really be.
Yeah, child zombies.
Yeah.
That's why wish they had like Ben and Billy and had Carl killed. Was it Ben? Yeah, I think he kills Ben. Because Ben kills Billy.
I believe so. Yes.
Cuts him right the fuck up.
Yep. They
sadistic little prick.
Carl's a little bit more hard as fuck in the comic.
Especially that fucking panel where he does that, where he goes into the van and it has Ben looking up and he says, "Are you scared of me?" And just has Carl look fucking like that. No. Fucking boom. Or sorry, blam.
Yeah, and then Rick just wakes up. He knows instantly what happened.
Well, I love that he thinks Carl's still in the tent because the cowboy hat's there. And then fucking he doesn't tell him until Rick starts weeping willows about fucking what happened with the hunters, because he thinks it's Abraham that walked up on him, but it's actually Carl. And then Carl's like, "I killed Ben." Yep.
The closest they came to that was the governor's guy's son that he killed outside of the prison, and then maybe season 4, I want to say. And all he did was shoot that guy for no real reason.
It's just instead of killing somebody because they're clearly a psychopath and can't live amongst you,
which would have been way more emotionally impactful, and it's what actually probably made Carol as hard as fuck as she is currently in the TV show, right? Like, she's the one who had to deal with that in the show, but in the comics, it's not only different children; it's dealt with by Carl.
Well, in the second that the second that Abraham shows up, Rick gets him to take him back to his hometown to pick up Morgan, and then they hook up with Morgan again, go back to the police shop, get more,
Yeah, Morgan seems to be looking a lot different
supplies.
than his comic counterpart. And I'm okay with him being a fucking...
A Jedi?
A shaman badass. Like, just wandering with a... Yeah, pretty much.
A master of ninjutsu?
A master of stick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he is kind of a Jedi.
From Ninja Turtles.
He is. I remember him being a lot more broken in the comic and also kind of insignificant, if I remember correctly.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It's been a while, but he seems like he's going to be more of a badass. And of course, spoiler alert, he shows up at the final scene of the season finale, right after Rick has just killed a man. And it's going to be interesting to see this new Morgan and how he responds to, seeing good buddy Rick Grimes in a different state of mind.
And again, if it's anything like the book, he dies in about 3 episodes because it's in Alexandria when he gets bit by a fucking zombie.
Morgan does?
And then Michonne cuts his arm off, but it's
not... Oh, yeah, right. I don't think they're going to go that route. He seems too much of a Jedi for that.
And Michonne's different in the fact that in the book she's kind of a whore.
A little bit, yeah.
She just wants to, she always tries to, bang different dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Because first she bangs...
She's kind of just
when she first shows up, she bangs Tyrese.
Yeah.
While he's dating Carol, and then she tries to bang Morgan. Then she ends up banging Ezekiel.
Yeah, that's one thing the show does less of is the relationships and whatnot which I don't really mind them in the comic, but I think it would definitely slow the show down.
It would be weird in the show. I will admit that, especially if they had Andrea still alive and they did the Rick and Andrea one that are together now. Mm-hmm. That would seem strange. Yeah. Not to mention the Andrea and Dale. That would have been fucking weird.
That was the one I'd noticed right off the bat. I'm like, well, it is the apocalypse. I guess you could use that to date outside your league. It's like, hey, you're alive? You alive? Let's do this.
I got an RV. It's big.
And he also has an RV, a jackpot. But yeah, I think Glenn also uses the apocalypse to date outside his league. You know, if you're not many humans left, I guess.
In the book, I don't know. I don't quite remember what some of the farms episodes on the show, but in the book, Maggie basically kind of is a little bit of a whore and just tells him that she wants to bang. He's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was similar to how they did it in the show. They were on a run somewhere, and I don't know how it came up, but Maggie's like, yeah, I'll have sex with you. And Glenn's like, really? Sweet.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's like
and that's how they got together, and they are now married in the show.
Which is funny because they're going to get pregnant soon.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine that's kind of how it would be, you know.
But they have doctors. In Alexandria, they're supposed to have 2 doctors and a surgeon. Mm-hmm. And then I guess that's still 3 doctors, but one's a surgeon, but still. I believe that they also have more doctors on the hilltop and in the kingdom.
Yep. And it seems like there's only the one doctor in Alexandria in the show, who is now dead. But maybe there's another one we haven't been introduced to. I don't know. But doctors are super fucking important. Like, you gotta...
It was weird some of the characters they seem to borrow from in the show compared to the comic book. Like Bob. Bob was basically based off of he's supposed to be old, some old drunk that lives in Woodbury.
Yeah,
that saves the governor's life after Michonne cuts his arm off, his eyeball out, his ear off, his balls off,
and rapes
his
him
nipple
back.
off. Yeah,
that's one thing that I
wish they did that. Like the book. That fucking whole thing is just insane.
Yeah, in the comics, there's a pretty brutal story involving the governor, like pre-attack on the prison, where Michonne is raped and tortured, and it's pretty graphic. And then she gets a chance to get back at him, and mutilates him, rapes him back. It's really hardcore shit, and they didn't really do that.
And that's when she was still crazy, so she doesn't think she did it.
And that's how he loses the eye, and the eye patch, becomes Nick Fury. If you will, a very mild-mannered Nick Fury.
Mild-mannered Nick Fury, yes, that describes the governor.
Because he's crazy. Yeah, he's crazy.
Oh, he's fucking crazy.
Yep, and I look forward to the next villains they introduce.
In the show, doesn't he kill Martinez? Doesn't he beat the shit out of him with a golf club when they're on the top of a trailer?
Yep, I believe that is true. And then he throws him in the Walker pit, if I'm not mistaken.
Whereas in the book, it's actually Martinez helps them all escape, and then Rick fucking chases them down and runs them over with.
I wanted that to happen in the show because that's awesome. Like, did they let him go or did he escape?
He escaped.
Yeah, he escaped.
He brought them back, and then it just was gone.
Yeah. And then Rick's like, no, ain't having that shit, and runs him down with Dale's RV. It's awesome. Yeah. Shatters his spine, leaves him for dead. Yeah. What can I say? There's some things I just wish they would do because they're so good and they're already written for you. God damn it, AMC. The source material is right there.
That's what I don't understand.
But some things I get it. You're on TV. You're not HBO. You don't got HBO money. Can't even say the F word for fuck's sakes. Can't say the F word or show any nudity. It's kind of that distracted me in Breaking Bad. I don't mind it so much in The Walking Dead, but in Breaking Bad, I'm like, really, these meth peddlers can't say the F word. They can kill each other horribly. Like, there's no problem with blood, but there's no fucks. No fucks allowed.
No fucks were distributed.
Yes, exactly. And in The Walking Dead, there's no fucks either, but there is
no fucks.
There is a healthy amount of gore, and I'm glad they didn't.
Which in the book, there's plenty of fucks.
Oh yes, especially with upcoming Negan, who swears like a pirate.
It's awesome.
And I would really love AMC to just, okay, this year we're going, fucking Game of Thrones, Sopranos approach. It's 18A or R or whatever it needs to be. That would make me really happy. But I'm afraid they would. They're afraid of losing their audience, but not the case, man.
Yeah.
If you go more badass, we're gonna be right there with you.
You know what I think would be awesome? You remember the Spawn animated series? I mean, Image Comics.
Mm-hmm.
They had it on. It used to be on Showcase. I believe it was HBO.
I think so. Yeah.
But
yeah, I know what you mean. Like similar.
Remember the animation style?
Similar to like Heavy Metal's animation.
Yeah. I feel like they should do that with the Walking Dead comic book series. If they did that, cool. Oh my god, on HBO, that would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
I would so be down for that.
Not sure if AMC owns everything Walking Dead, but that'd be awesome.
They couldn't. It'd be impossible. Image Comics still distributes has the title for the comic. I know
that. Like the game Survival Instinct is super separate from the the Telltale. It's all about Daryl. Yeah, and the Telltale games is as close as you're gonna get to a true to the comic book movie. And the games are great, and I wish I wouldn't mind them borrowing something from the games either. That would, they're both, the comic.
Maybe that Fear the Walking Dead show will do that.
Maybe. I hope so. That'd be cool. The Telltale games and the comic are just better written than the current show. Not that it's bad. It's just, we're judging something that is great, compared to its source material, which is greater. So we're nitpicking here, but hey, that's what we do.
I'm pretty sure I took it completely off topic because I think we started saying we were going to review the season.
Yeah, we did say we were going to review the season, and we ended up just comparing it to the comic books a lot.
Just fucking, that was a total fucking turn.
Sorry, guys, we're nerds, and we like the comic book more.
I can't help it.
Yeah, what can we say? I did like the season, though, if you want to try and get back on track. This was a solid season, probably my favorite since maybe even the first one, to be honest. I thought it moved fast. It was good. No less dwelling on bullshit and bullshit storylines, which is nice.
I find it hard to keep track of like which season's which when they do the stupid breakup.
It's true. Because season...
So the Terminus part was part of this season?
Yeah. That's
okay. Well, then, I guess this season was a lot better than a lot of them then.
Yeah, Terminus was the first part, and then the open road and all that other shit was the latter half. I don't like when they split up seasons either. I mean, I guess they're just dragging out more.
I did like that they gave a reason for the hunters, where in the book they just show up out of nowhere. That, to me, was justified.
Yeah, I thought that was perfectly justified that they would try and get back at them. I thought Morgan was going to...
They're just like, who the fuck are these guys?
I thought Morgan was going to show up and save the day, but it was too early for that.
I don't know if I like where they're going with these wolf characters. I don't understand why they have W's carved in their heads.
I'm not sure either. They, I don't know if that dude they introduced that was talking to Morgan with the gun pointed at him, if he was like the leader of them or what, but he's not all that enticing of a villain. I like the Terminus villains, whatever their fucking names were. Because
Chris, I believe, is the one guy.
Chris and his mother, I can't remember his mother's name. But they seemed, pretty normal at first, and then you get a look behind the scenes, and it's fucking insane. But these wolf guys are just like insane right off the bat. And they seem like a lot, dirtier scavenger types.
Well, and do you remember in this season when when Aaron shows up to invite them to come to Alexandria, Rick punches him out like he does in the books? Yeah. Does he then talk about how the governor was all smiles and this and that?
Yeah.
He did talk about that.
I think he at least mentioned it, or somebody mentioned it at least, that, this place looks legit. I'm like, oh, well, do you not fucking remember Woodbury, idiot? And I thought that would be...
That's what he says. He knocks him out, and Abraham's like, that wasn't a knock this guy out look. That was a this guy seems okay to me look. And he's like, yeah, I don't trust anybody that's like all smiles. He's like, the governor was all smiles or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And it makes sense. Like, I thought...
And then he cut off Rick's fucking hand. So.
Exactly. And, both groups on the comic and the show have been screwed over many times by people. And Rick is understandably, edgy and is a complete badass because of it. And that leads to complications when they reach Alexandria, which is populated as Carol says, by children who got lucky.
Those are like stories.
They hit the apocalyptic jackpot, basically. They were in a gated community with, like, self-sufficient heat and hydro and all that shit before this happened. Like, jackpot.
They haven't mentioned Davidson, have they? In the show?
I don't think so.
I can't recall.
So. I can't recall either.
Because that's what they basically should have said, because Davidson's the one that told them where I was or whatever, and then they started building walls after they were there.
Yep, Alexandria is
Davidson goes crazy.
Alexandria is a bit different than it is in the comics so far, but I don't mind the new one, except for these people are clearly just like their own worst enemy, and they're just gonna get so many are gonna die in the coming seasons. And
so, was it last season then where Beth was in the hospital?
Nope, that was this season too.
Was this season? Yeah. That part I didn't like, because that's just I don't even understand what the hell that had to do with anything.
That was like a single episode arc, or I guess it was a couple episodes.
It was a couple. With it's not from the books, and had nothing to do with what ends up happening in the storylines.
No, I didn't mind it. It was okay, but I thought the female cop was kind of a bad villain, and then it threw just a punch with the killing of Beth, and then Daryl blasts that chick. I'm just like, oh well, that ended poorly for everyone. Move along.
See you later.
But what did kind of worry me there before they got on the road is that back at the hospital, that was in Atlanta. In the 4 seasons, they've done a big circle around Atlanta. They haven't gone anywhere. They haven't done anything. They're still in Atlanta. And that worried me. I'm like, damn, all this time, 4 or 5 seasons, they're still like right outside of Atlanta.
Which, yeah, that's kind of weird considering.
And that, yeah, considering the comics route. And then they spend, this season, they spend a lot of time on the road, heading towards Washington.
Well, Alexandria's in D.C.
Yeah, exactly. So they do make it to... I can't remember where they say it is in the show, but it is in D.C. in the comics. So they've made decent ground, I would assume. But that worried me, like, all this time and you've gone nowhere?
Literally.
Like, Atlanta's dead. Do you not realize this?
I don't understand why they haven't once done the winters.
The winter, yeah. It's hard to show the winter, I'm sure, on the TV show budget. And they kind of have to skip time because all the children actors would keep growing up and all that stuff.
I think they should get rid of the kid that plays Carl. He's just awful.
I think
he ruins a lot of stuff for me.
I think he should have been replaced earlier, way earlier, so that we would kind of be forgiving. I think if they change the actor now, it's well, I wouldn't mind personally, but some people might mind. 5 seasons and you replace a guy. But hey, what are you gonna do? He is kind of a shitty child actor. He is reminiscent of the kid who played Anakin Skywalker in Phantom Menace. Just fucking terrible.
Just awful.
He's getting better. He is getting better, but he's still not good.
Do you mean his voice isn't as high because he's a teenager?
I guess, yeah. But that's one character who's done way better in the comics. But I feel like we've said that many times today. But yeah, he's. I wouldn't mind a replacement, to be honest, but I think it's too late for that.
Probably. And I don't understand. Sophia should be alive. Like there's a lot of stuff that should be going on. But overall, it definitely was a good season. I would say it's probably definitely I would say better than the second and third. I don't know if I'd say it was better than the first.
No, first is still my favorite, even though that really only boils down to the first episode, just because I love that episode so much. It was fucking perfect, and then it was never the same again.
Yep.
Thanks to Frank Darabont, you let an amazing man direct the first episode, and then none of the other episodes. This is what you get. But hey, but yeah, the first season is probably my favorite, and this one might be my second favorite. I like the pace. I like the character arcs with Carol. She's interesting. There's nothing really terrible that's happened recently for the show, and I think they're on a good track, I guess, or an acceptable track, if you will. And they're not fucking around as much as they did in seasons 1 and 2 and 3, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Where they mucked about with who died and who did what, and I mean, they're
mucking about.
They're still doing that, but fucking killing off Dale, and it grinds my gears still. 4 years later, killing off my favorite character.
Yeah,
one of my favorite early characters, anyways. But the show, it's solid. I guess we can wrap it up. What would you want to rate a whole season, I guess? Even though that's kind of problematic, but
I guess if we're rating it in terms of the series.
Yes, let's rate it as a TV show only.
Rate it in terms of just that TV series.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So out of the 5 seasons, I would definitely say it's number 2 I
agree with that.
And then as far as out of 10, I would have to give it an 8.
Yeah, I was pretty much right on the money with 8 as well. I think it's
first season gets a 9, just in case.
First season gets a 9, and then all other seasons are 7-ish.
I'd say 6.
And that one on the farm is a fucking 5, maybe. That's a terrible season. I mean, shit still happened, but oh my god, so slow. Never again, Walking Dead. Never again. But yeah, I'd give it an 8 as well. I like Carol blowing up Terminus, turning into a Spartan god. That was cool. A little unbelievable, but I'll allow it. We saw Tyrese die. We saw the hunters come and go.
I wish Tyrese had his head cut off, but still.
It was not a just death for Tyrese at all. Yeah. And I like that actor, too. I thought he fit the role well. So we saw him go. Who else died this season? Of course, that kid they met at the hospital. I can't remember his name. Noah. He's came and went just as quick. I didn't mind him all that much, but he had a limp, though. He was kind of destined to...
He was going to die.
That brings up an excellent question. Why was he on the fucking run if he can't walk properly? Don't take a disabled man on a supply run. It's bad. Anyways.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we saw Beth, of course, go, which I guess is too bad, but she kind of was forgotten about because she disappeared for half a season. Yeah, we saw Daryl continue being Daryl. We saw Rick kind of get his shit together a little bit. We'll see. And, yeah, overall, decent story arcs. Couple weak episodes here and there, but otherwise...
Now, I do hope that they're going to continue this trend toward, because Rick does have that girl, mind you, he won't fuck her like he's trying to in the show. But I hope they do where he has her and her son, and the zombies break in, and when they're running away, the zombie gets her son and eats him, and then fucking she doesn't let go, so it gets her. She won't let go of Carl, so he cuts her hand off with an axe.
Yep. That's pretty gnarly scene, and I hope it goes that way.
Oh, that's an awesome panel.
And yeah, foresee awful things happening to Alexandria, and everyone's wondering, is it gonna be Rick's fault that shit happens? No, because I think bad things are just gonna continue to happen.
It's technically the town's fault because they didn't think that reinforcing the walls with just mud would.
Yeah, at least think there's this glimmer of hope now that with the killing of the mayor, essentially, or the mayor's husband.
Which I don't understand that either. In the book, it's Douglas and Douglas's wife that gets her throat slit, but I'm pretty sure it's with Michonne's sword.
I think it is, yeah.
In the book.
I think it's still an accident in the book, but
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm pretty sure in the
what
book.
a fucking terrible accident. I guess don't be drunk and wield a machete. It's bad for business. Don't do that, man. But I think now that hopefully people are going to listen to Rick and,
That's what happened in the book.
yeah, you're right. And that's kind of pissed me off about that first couple days in Alexandria where they just didn't listen to a thing they said. Understandably, they're strangers, but Glenn's like, you fucking asshole. Like, people died because you're an idiot. Like, you need to listen to me. And I'm sick of, I don't want any more questioning their authority. I want to see a strong Alexandria. And then, of course, I want to see it burn down.
Yeah, and then I want to see Jesus. And by that I mean Paul. His name is actually Paul.
Yes, I'm praying for season 6. We're going to see,
Paul Moreau, I believe.
we're going to see, at least the starting of the road to all-out war. And that's what I'm hoping for.
At least a larger world.
Yeah, at least elements of it, maybe introduce some of the other camps, maybe. I don't want to dwell on these wolves for too long. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I hope they kind of come and go, the wolves. Unless the wolves are supposed to be like the saviors.
That's what, maybe it's the start of them, but there seems like there's only two
Because they were
or
rounding
three
up
of them.
zombies. They were rounding up zombies, right?
Yeah, they were doing savior-esque things, for sure. But I think there only showed 2 or 3 of them. There's a lot more saviors than that, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. There's a hell of a lot more than that. But they also have them stationed at outposts.
It's true. Maybe it's just an outpost of this larger, cult thing, and they haven't cast Negan yet. Or maybe, I don't know. I hope to see the...
That would be awesome. Henry Rollins.
Yes, I'm hoping for Henry Rollins, and I hope that the road to all-out war is done awesomely and continues the same pace. Right. Yes, anything else, sir?
I don't know. Nothing else to add to that.
All right.
All in all, it's a good season. All in all, the books are still better.
Yep. As anyone that enjoys the show, I recommend reading the comics. Nothing wrong with the show. Just please read the comics. They're a damn good read if you like your zombie fiction.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for putting up with us just rambling incoherently about the comic and versus the show and whatnot. And if you can't tell, we like the comic better. But, hey, what are you going to do? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Movieverse.